subconsciously, rather than consciously, I was more influenced than I should have been by, you know, by the sound, by the style of, not the songs, but the style of music.
Well, he just nicked the idea, yeah. I think he thought, this is my direction.
A couple of times I thought to myself, you know, oh, blending those 3 violins with that piano to sound a bit like Kevin's. But there was a kind of a competitiveness between us at the time whereby Kevin had approached our manager to kind of help him get a deal, and, you know, and I was thinking, oh, well, and I'm feeling a little bit kind of put out by that, and, you know, and a bit threatened by that. And, oh, well, don't worry about that.
Kevin Rowland had always had Kevin Archer as his ideas man. So he hadn't got anyone to replace him. So when Kevin Archer came along and said, look, this is my great idea, Kevin Rowland just went, yeah, thanks. Poof.
Looking back on it, you know, obviously it was wrong that Kevin wasn't credited for his influence there, you know. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's between those two. I'm disappointed that it happened like that, because I felt I was part of something new. Kevin didn't steal any songs from Kevin Archer, because I co-wrote all those songs and I certainly didn't steal anything.
After the huge success of the Tu Raye album, but with nearly all his band gone, once again it was back to square one. Along with Helen and Billy Adams, and armed with a clean-cut, preppy image, Kevin started work on his next album, Don't Stand Me Down. This was going to be his magnum opus.
His idea was to have a LP that would come out, and then 2 big factors. One, it would be an LP that was fantastic, and it was the best, and it would be perfect. And the other thing is, it would be so good it wouldn't need a single.
I just put everything in it. I thought, I'm going to put everything in this that I know, kind of thing. Everything I want to say, I'm going to put it in here. I didn't care. Everything I want to say is going in, you know. It was like that. It was a real passion, you know. So driven. And I felt I had nothing to lose again, funny enough, because I thought, well, all that I experienced is crap. So this is all that's important.
He'd done all his rehearsing with all these musicians that from America, and he went off to Lausanne, I think it was, to record.
We were there 4 weeks, and I think we got 1 backing track.
Which was?
Listen to this, but it sounded great.
He didn't care. He did whatever it would take. It's always the way Kevin worked. He'd do what it takes to get it right.
The mixing, again, took a long, long time, and I think he, at one point, he decided that he had to record in America, and he went to New York. And there was a lot of time, I think it was probably over 2 months or so, maybe 3 months, spent in America mixing, and he still wasn't too happy with the results, you know. At the end of the day, probably must have gone in 600,000-700,000 to record, and also took about 18 months, and probably sold about, I'm not saying, but it didn't anyway justify the amount of money spent.
I got in a fight with the managing director of the record company, you know, not a fight, a fist fight, a battle, you know, about it, and he wanted to release a single, and I said, no, we're not going to release a single, we're just going to have it as an album that people can, you know, like they did in the 70s. And he said, well, just give me something, I need something to sell it, you know, like a 12-inch single or a 7-inch, something. And I said, no. And I just got into this battle with him, and that became the focus, you know. release a single about 6 weeks after the album had come out, an edited version of This Is What She's Like, but by then it was too late. No one played it. So there it was, gone. I'm so proud of Don't Slow Me Down, and now to see it get the recognition that it's getting, you know, when it happened a couple of years ago at the re-release, I was so happy, you know, because it's more me than all the others, you know, and it really put my heart and soul into it.
The Don't Stand Me Down album marked the end of the Dexys story. Sadly, Kevin's life then descended into depression and a lengthy cocaine addiction. It's only recently that he's emerged with a new album and the inevitable new look. Dexys was a stormy ride, both financially and emotionally, for Kevin and everybody associated with the band. Nonetheless, 20 years on, the experience remains indelible.
Yeah, I believed in all that, yes. Yeah, of course I did. We all did. We all did. You know, I still do, and I still do. I still yearn for that feeling.
Yeah, I'm proud of it, yeah. I think it was easily the best group of the 80s.
You have all life ahead of you. Don't take it so serious, enjoy all you do. For you're just preparing for the life ahead.
You know, I feel very privileged to have been part of it. I feel very, very privileged to have worked with Kevin. You know, a huge talent. You know, I'm lucky, very lucky.
Young man, no need to be.
I wouldn't like to go back to the lack of money and the rehearsals in cold, derelict warehouses, having to bunk trains, all that. I wouldn't want to go back to any of that, thank you very much. But it was an experience that was invaluable, and in that way I'm grateful for it.
Young man, you've grown to be so tall, I hardly recognize you.
When I look back now, you know, I didn't enjoy it. I could have had a good time, you know. It would have been nice, you know, when I look back and see the Beatles and the Stones, and we were all like, oh no, we're not going to talk to other bands, you know, we're going to do this that way. It was all so intense and so uptight, you know. I wish that I hadn't been like that. I missed out on an awful lot, you know. Yeah. Having said that, the music was unique, kind of thing. That's the good thing about it, but a very big price, really, you know, big price.
Young man, there's no need to be the best at everything you do. But if you do, that's good too. Young man, you've done nothing bad. I wish someone said that to